A long time ago, before Patrik Allvin was named general manager of the Vancouver Canucks, guess what? He was a scout, okay? But was he actually good at scouting? We're going to tell you next year on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer and part-time credentialed media member for Daily Hive Vancouver. Hey, guess what? This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon today to get started. And before we dive into the episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks. It's your team every day, kind of, sort of, 3 to 5 days a week right now. We recorded yesterday. We're recording today. We're going to record tomorrow. And then, hey, I'm gone for the long weekend, so who knows what's happening after that. But guaranteed at least here 3 days a week. But hey, no matter how much we're here, man, no matter how much you're here, go make sure you subscribe or follow us for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, Kyle, the other night, I don't want to say I was partaking in some extracurriculars, but I just fell down a rabbit hole of hockey stuff. Okay, that happens to a hockey nerd like myself, and I started thinking, how good was Patrik Allvin at drafting? Okay, so that's what I want to talk about in today's episode, specifically his time with the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course. But first and foremost, how you doing today, brother? By the way, if you're listening on audio only, you're missing out on Kyle's hat. That is an 11 out of 10 hat, dude. I love it, man. You're definitely looking sexier today.
Hey, man, always striving to be more sexy, man. Why not, man? For real. Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs. On Locked On Canucks, it's your team, sort of, kind of, not really every day this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Next week, who knows? This all being said, I will give the people a bonus episode this Friday, exclusively centered around Comment Corner. Hey, speaking of Comment Corner on today's episode, we'll get to your comment. Yes, one comment at the end of the show. And man, oh man, the people were going after Trevor / agreeing with Trevor. It was probably the most toxic place to be a Canucks fan. Our comment bin, worse than Canucks Twitter, to be honest, when it comes to toxicity. And it's all because of you. You have to be not only the darkest guy on the program, but one of the darkest guys in Canucks media right now. I don't know what happened to you, man. I think last year really hurt you, man, for real. I think last year really hurt you. Maybe you had like expectations, or maybe like last year was the year for you where you said to yourself, you know what, they have to make the next step this season because I'm tired of this. And they failed. And maybe you just, again, never thinking that the Canucks will ever get themselves out of this hole. Because again, you are just on a run this summer. Anywho, let's move on. Okay, let's not talk about yesterday. Let's talk about today. You want to talk about Patrik Allvin's draft history? It's August, baby. It's Canucks talk. And all the jokes aside, Trevor Beggs, man, we're so lucky to have you, man, for real. You make the show what it is, man, for real, because I'm really interested in this. And I'm excited to see what you have written down in front of you. Patrik Allvin, the draft history. Let's go.
Yeah, I will say, before we get into it, I'm excited for Comment Corner today. I haven't read any comments from the last episode. But you know what? Love me or hate me, it's go Canucks go. But also love me or hate me, I'm just spitting out the facts, okay? There's a few players that played better than Lekkerimaki. I didn't call Lekkerimaki a bust. I just said some guys drafted after him are playing better. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying, okay? So, okay, back to Patrik Allvin. So he joined the Pittsburgh Penguins as a scout in 2006, I believe. I had it in front of me, and Wi-Fi just let me down here. But in 2006, he joined the team as a scout. Now, he was a European scout only, so I kind of wanted to look at how he's drafted with the Pittsburgh Penguins since then. So, yeah, just to clarify, from 2002 to 2006, he was a European scout with the Montreal Canadiens. 2006, he joined the Pittsburgh Penguins organization. And let's just start at the beginning, okay? So from 2006 to 2012, he was a European scout for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He did eventually get a promotion to director of European scouting. But okay, so there's a 6-year period here where Patrik Allvin was a European scout for the Penguins, and the Penguins picked 4 European players in those 6 years. So it's funny, man, just thinking about all the work these scouts put in. Like, you got to watch all these guys. You got to make the list. Then when it comes to draft day, it's like, did your work even matter? Like, Patrik Allvin joined the team in 2006. as a European scout. The Penguins didn't even draft a European player until 2008, and it was in the 5th round. So I'm just going to go through the list. Obviously, you'll recognize some of these names. You won't recognize other ones, but the first European player drafted when Patrik Allvin was with the Penguins was a goaltender called Alexander Pettersson, drafted in the 5th round in 2008. He actually played one NHL game, but didn't go on to do much more than that. Again, he's a 5th round pick. Hard to be too bad about that. 6th round pick in 2009, Swedish defenseman Victor Ekblom. Great name, but again, not much of a career over in North America. But then after that, Patrik Allvin and the Penguins European scouting staff had a couple of big wins, okay? First and foremost, they drafted Tom Kuhnhackl back in the 4th round in 2010. Tom Kuhnhackl went on to play a couple hundred NHL games for mainly it was the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders. And then the 4th and final pick, European player picked during Alvin's 6-year tenure as a European scout for the Penguins was a guy who's still in the NHL. He was a free agent until a couple weeks ago, and that's Oscar Sundqvist, drafted in the 4th round in 2012. So, to be honest, Kyle, like you look at that, and again, we'll get into the latter half later where there's more European picks once Alvin got promoted. But that's 4 players picked from the 4th round and onwards, and 2 of them went on to become NHLers. 3 of the 4 of them played NHL games. I'd say a pretty, let's call it a tidy piece of work for Patrik Allvin and the Penguins European scouting staff there.
Tidy, man. That's a good word to use, right? Like I feel like the position he had for those first 6 years in the scouting department, probably like entry level, when it comes to the bigger picture for an NHL team. And to hit on 2 guys in the later rounds in the draft and have them play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of NHL games. Yeah, I'm going to have to say the same word. Tidy, okay? Tidy. Dude, it would be so much fun being a scout, man. Just drinking coffee, black coffee, and watching hockey, and then assuming where these players are going to end up, and then having to make a sales pitch to the GM or like the head of scouting and possibly be heard, thus making your chances of moving up the ladder possible. I just think that's like exhilarating, it's one of those jobs where in an alternate universe, if I really wanted to hone in and get into the NHL, understanding that, I'm a Findu, first generation Findu, didn't have the resources to play hockey. Like I didn't have any cousins or anything playing ice hockey, right? But I still want to make the NHL. I stopped wanting to make the NHL at the age of 14, just based off my street hockey skills. That made that dream last that long. Anyways, alternate universe, knowing my resources, knowing what was around me, I wish I took a different route. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to head over to North Surrey Rink every morning with a clipboard and scout and work my way up, because look at what Alvin did, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like working his way up to be a GM now. And like assistant GM of Pittsburgh to win some cups too. Like that's cool. That's cool. Doing great things. And now he's the GM of a Canadian team. Guys came a long way.
Yeah, 100%, right? And it's a pretty common route for former players to take, or whoever, to kind of work your way up in scouting, be around a team for a long time, and that's exactly what Alvin did.
Mm-hmm.
And in fairness, he's done well as a scout. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do well as a general manager. We saw that in this market already with Jim Benning, but let's not go there. But with Alvin, it was a strong scouting background that got him there. But there's quite a few more European players he drafted when he was director of European scouting. So arguably, more of this falls on him as the guy overseeing all the European scouts. So let's touch on that on the other side. But first, Kyle, you know who I got to shout out? Okay, it's the summer. We don't got too many sponsors, but once again, it's FanDuel coming through in the clutch. So make sure you coming through in the clutch with the big old bet on FanDuel, and make sure you take your first swing in betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. Hey, you can do it all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball.
By the way, before we get back to the show, I got to remind you again that every episode of Locked On Canucks will be available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcatcher at 4:20 p.m. for no reason at all. Again, every episode of Locked On Canucks at 4:20 p.m. for no reason at all. Let's get back to the show. Okay, we back here on Locked On Canucks. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen, your team every day. Remember, we are all Locked On Canucks. I mean Canucks. And the season is starting up pretty soon. Time moves fast. I don't know if it's because we're getting older and something's happened to our perspective, something's happened to our mind. But man, oh man, time just moves by fast. And sooner or later, the Canucks are going to be playing games that matter. For real, game 1 matters, game 2 matters, game 3 matters. I hope game 20 matters too for the Vancouver Canucks as well. We got to get there. That's the next step. You know what else matters? That promise Beggsy and I made you yesterday. Okay, that push-up challenge, Trevor. I know I joke around a lot. That's the truth. That's the truth. I'm gonna hold you accountable every day. I'm gonna text you at 7 a.m. and just say, "Yo, get your reps in. Get your reps in." Because I don't want to beat you. I want to be with you. I want us to both hit 100 push-ups on the last day of September, okay? For the people and for the team, man. If the team's going to get into the best shape of their lives, we need to do it too, okay? We need to look at ourselves in the mirror as well. Put that energy out there. Because remember what I just said 2 minutes ago. We are all Canucks. Let's put it out there, man, for real. Anywho, Trevor Beggs, going to be talking about some non-Canucks because we're going through Alvin's draft history. Now he's promoted within the Pittsburgh organization, and I'm curious to see what type of damage he did, like good damage he did with a stronger position on a really, really, really good Pittsburgh Penguins team.
Yeah, so I think the interesting thing here, Kyle, is, again, from 2006 to 2012, those 4 European players drafted by the Penguins in 6 years, they had more draft picks in those seasons, right? Because they weren't, I guess they did win the cup in that time. They were contending for cups, but they had more draft picks overall. Whereas from 2014 to 2021, a 7-year stretch, so one year more, the Penguins actually drafted 8 European players, despite having less draft picks overall. A lot of years they had 4, 5, 6 draft picks. It's a team that usually doesn't have their full arsenal of picks. But I'll rip through it quick. So let's start in 2014. The Pittsburgh Penguins drafted Kasperi Kapanen in the first round back in 2014, 22nd overall. And I know Kasperi Kapanen, he's kind of been an up and down NHLer. He probably hasn't really delivered on his potential, but he's still been, a half point a game player playing almost 400 NHL games. So I would say not a bad pick there. In 2015, they drafted Dominique Simone in the 5th round, 137th overall. Now this guy, he's got a nice big beard. Okay. But he's been an NHL player, 256 career games, a good find in the 5th round for sure. Even though, his NHL career basically ended last season and he went back to the Czech Republic this season. But a good pick there in the 5th round. Now there's a Canuck connection here. The Alvin drafted, or the Penguins drafted under Alvin, Philip Gustafsson in the 2nd round in 2016. Oh, no, I got that wrong. They drafted Kasper Bjornquist. Sorry, my bad there. Bad information. So Kasper Bjornquist was picked in the 2nd round in 2016. And then going onwards, Nicholas Almari, 5th round 2016. Jan Drogs, 5th round 2017. Linus Olin, 5th round 2017. And Antti Palojärvi, 6th round 2017. So you can see, other than kind of Kapanen and Bjornquist, not a lot of picks were made early in the draft. Those all tend to be in the later rounds for sure. Now, Philip Gustafsson was picked, okay? So I had a brain fart there. Philip Gustafsson was picked by the Pittsburgh Penguins. There is a Canuck connection there. The Canucks actually had that pick originally when they traded Kevin Bieksa to the Anaheim Ducks. That pick bounced around, and Pittsburgh ended up selecting Gustafsson, who, again, was one of the best goalies in the league this year for Minnesota. So between Kasperi Kapanen, Dominic Simone, and Philip Gustafsson, you got 3 NHLers out of those 8 picks. But again, most of these picks were 5th, 6th rounders. And I will say, even with those 5th and 6th rounders, even though a lot of them didn't make the NHL, three of those four guys drafted in the 5th and 6th round made the AHL at least and made some noise there, but that just couldn't crack the NHL. So again, I'm giving Alvin a pass overall. And, I think he's done a good job, or Pittsburgh did a good job of unearthing talent and finding some value with those picks.
Yeah, but it's all kind of boring, to be honest. I thought there was going to be something sexy in there, okay? For real. Something that, would make me start dancing, Because I'm trying to bring that positivity to the people, and it's not hard to do because somebody has to do it on the program. Because again, Trevor Beggs always coming out with the pessimism, the hate, and in this case, like maybe like a little bit of like sarcasm. Like, do you want to go in on Alvin here, like a little bit? Are you actually pleased, or I guess in essence, a true believer in his talent evaluation? I know, I know you sounded kind of calm and content with it, but I see a lot of like singles and doubles, not a lot of home runs. I know he's drafting just out of Europe and later round picks in Pittsburgh. They trade first and second round picks, blah, blah, blah around that time. But I kind of wanted a home run during your little spiel.
So I'll say this. I'd say Gustafsson late in the 2nd round has been a home run. Again,
okay.
not with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but again, he was almost on a Vezina level with the Minnesota Wild last season. Dominic Cerrone, a 5th round pick in 2015, who was a good third liner for a couple of years. I might call that a triple, to be honest. That's pretty good value in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say Kasperi Kapanen was the one first-round pick the Penguins made during Alvin's time with the Penguins, who was a European first rounder. And, Kapanen, fine NHL player, but you want to look at some of the guys drafted after him. Two names in particular stand out. Jared McCann, drafted by Vancouver, 24th overall, 2 picks after Kapanen. And I think you know who's next is David Pastrnak, selected by the Boston Bruins at 25th overall. And the thing about David Pastrnak is he was playing over in Sweden when he was drafted. Okay, so I mean Patrik Allvin, European scout, Swedish background. Pastrnak was a guy playing in Sweden, so not everyone can be perfect. But again, overall, I'm giving Allvin a pass. And boring or not, I think sometimes drafting it can be like investing, right? It's not always what's sexiest is what's best. It's what works. But yeah, there's some misses there as well for sure.
Dude, come on, man, with the life advice there, man. Relax, Trevor Beggs. It's a hockey podcast. Okay, it's a hockey podcast. Locked on Canucks. Your team every day, Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen. Every day for the rest of the week for sure. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're going to be giving you episodes. Tuesday was yesterday. And speaking of yesterday, if you want to experience some negativity in your life, for real, just do yourself a favor, okay? Do yourself a favor and click on the episode we dropped yesterday talking about Jonathan Lekkerimaki and if the Canucks should have went with 3 other players. Beggsy did his homework. Trevor never even did homework in high school, but he made sure he did his homework for this, just to poop on Jonathan Lekkerimaki, man. Come on, his parents could be watching that. Unbelievable. You know what? Shut up, Trevor. We'll talk more about this in a couple minutes on Comment Corner, okay? Again, Locked on Canucks, your team every day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Hit the subscribe button or follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review as well. Let's get to the other side again on Locked on Canucks. Okay, you're back. And we're back here on Locked on Canucks, your team every day. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen. Before we get to Comment Corner, you got to do this because you got to check up on your friends, right? Beggsy, man, how's it going, dude? How's life, man? I feel as if you're actually really happy. You're about to see your friends. You're picking you often pick your family over your fans on here on Locked on Canucks, but this weekend and next week you're picking your friends over the fans. It is what it is. I could roast you, but I'll say this many times, bro. You definitely have a cast of friends that in an alternate universe, once again, are part of one of the greatest television shows of all time. Like that's how cool your friends are. So I get it. Anyways, how you doing?
Yeah, honestly, man, it's a crazy time in life. Like a busy work day today. Like you should know the stuff I might be missing out on. Talking Locked on Canucks, missing out on my day job here. But seeing some friends. Going to Prince George this weekend for the first time. So if you have any tips for Prince George, hit me up in the comments. Let me know. I had 4 friends move there last year. Like I don't know why everyone wants to go to Prince George, but anyways. And just bittersweet overall, man. Like I actually dropped my wife and kids at the airport this morning. They're gone to Ottawa for 3.5 weeks. So now I went from wife and 2 kids to living the bachelor life. So There's definitely some good and bad with that for sure, man. But definitely gonna miss my family over the next little bit, man. I'm gonna need your company. I'm gonna have to see you in person, not just over the screen here on Locked On Canucks.
Next week we'll get together. We'll cook some
Yeah.
burgers. We'll clean up the backyard. We'll have some brewskis. Do a couple other things. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen. But enough about us. Let's get to the people. Let's run our favorite segment, Comment Corner.
Welcome to Comment Corner, powered by Paraphrasing.
This comment comes from MCDC.
Trevor, are you stupid or dumb? You don't like Lekkerimaki because he's undersized, but you wish the Canucks selected another dude who happens to be undersized. It's way too early to be calling him a bust. Keep your clickbait BS away from these streets.
Okay, Trevor, before I let you go in, I got to let the people know that I'm the one that made the thumbnail and put that word bust in the thumbnail, okay? Just because based on the text that you sent me earlier in the day talking about what we were going to talk about on yesterday's episode, I thought you were like going that way with the episode. Anyways, I'm kind of happy I did that because on a walk yesterday, I realized that, and I made the change this morning on the thumbnail, that when we do future episodes on Canucks prospects or anything prospect related, trade related, player acquisition related, we can do like a segment called Bust or Trust. Bust or Trust. You know what I'm saying? So it was meant to be for me to poke the bear a bit, only for us to open up another segment called Bust or Trust. Anyways, I think you were beating around the bush a little yesterday when I kept, throwing you under the bus, saying, "Oh, Trevor's calling him a bust," and you kept saying, "I'm not calling him a bust. I'm just saying these other three guys are better." Blah blah blah. Can you just talk about your feelings completely on Jonathan Lekkerimaki, knowing his skill set, knowing he has a good shot? Those are his traits. Do you see him fit well on the Vancouver Canucks in the future? Are you prosperous on the dude? Tell me everything you honestly feel about, again, Jonathan Lekkerimaki.
I feel skeptical, but I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm skeptical. I mean, with some of the best players we've seen in terms of Canucks prospects, they've killed it off the jump after their draft +1 season, and Lekkerimaki didn't. And I know there was injuries and other things that played into it. But just from watching some SHL tape, from watching with the World Juniors, I just wasn't impressed at all with what was going on with Lekkerimaki. Now, he did look better in the sorry, not SHL, but the Allsvenskan playoffs. Turned a corner. I'm firmly in wait and see mode. I mean, I'm certainly skeptical right now of what he can be, but he was drafted that high for a reason. He's got an offensive skill set. I think, to me, he reminds me a bit of Sven Berchi, which can be a good and a bad thing.
No, it's a bad thing, dude. Come on, man.
Well, Sven Berchi had all the skill in the world. Like, all skill in the world maybe is a bit bold, but had tons of skill, but always played in the perimeter. And I see a lot of that with Lekkerimaki as well. So I think Lekkerimaki's got to kind of get his nose in the net a bit more if he wants to be successful in the NHL. That's kind of what I see right now. So yeah, I'm skeptical, cautiously optimistic, but there's definitely some reasons for concern there.
You know who has a good knack for that? Being around the net and also being really skilled and someone who relies on their shot and just proved a lot last year was Kuzmenko.
Yep.
So I guess you're saying he's missing some of that net front awareness and going into other spots other than the hash marks to make things happen. At the end of the day, goal scoring is a really, really important thing. I think we all understand that. If he doesn't want to go there, he better be bringing like 25 goals from the dot every season, or from the hash marks. Just doing it. Like his shot has to be top 10, top 15 in the show.
Which is hard, man. I mean, how many prospects do we see that have a good shot and there's a lot of other holes in their game and they don't make it, right? So
yeah,
I'm not saying that's the Lekkerimaki. But, I guess, and again, I'm not like a prospect guy necessarily watching these guys like every single game, but from what I saw from him earlier in the season, yeah, I was concerned for sure. So again, he ended the season strong, which is a good thing. I don't really want to poo-poo on the guy too much. He's still a top end prospect, but I've been wait and see mode. Like, let's see what he can do this season, and then we'll kind of move forward from there.
One love, man. And as always, when we're hating on our guys that wear the jersey that, again, we dreamed of wearing, we want them to prove us wrong. Slap us in the face and win some games. It is what it is. Now, I want to read one more comment, okay, before we get out of here. I know you're in a rush. One more comment here on Comment Corner because I need you to respond to this with me, okay? 1, 2, 3. Let's hear it.
Welcome to Comment Corner, powered by Paraphrasing.
This comment comes from Dave.
Please never stop talking Canucks. You guys are the next big thing on this side of town. Won't be shocked if Hockey Night in Canada steals you and gives you your own show.
First off, thanks so much for the nice words. But man, oh man, I gotta say this. We already got a show. You know what I'm saying? This guy's alluding to the fact that there's more for us in the future. Dude, we're here now. We're here on Locked On Canucks. We're so lucky to be here and to be able to talk to the people and communicate with the people and do everything Vancouver Canucks. We're already doing it right now. Let's not get it twisted. But once again, I do really, really appreciate the words. I was going to bring that comment up on Friday on the separate episode of Comic Corner, but I needed Trevor Beggs here to, soak in what the guy said to us because there was a lot of love and you deserve that love as well. But for the third time, we're already doing it, okay? We doing it, baby, here on Locked On Canucks. Anyways, Trevor Beggs, sign us out.
Yeah, seriously, nothing but love for the commentaries. And Kyle and I are here because we love the Canucks. We love talking about the Canucks. But at the end of the day, we're nothing if you're not here, listening and watching and commenting and joining along for the journey. So we appreciate the heck out of you, whether you're an everydayer, whether you're an occasional listener, whether this is your first time listening or not. And if it is, hey, welcome to the program, okay? Again, Kyle and I are in off-season mode right now, but some of the things on my mind in terms of episodes is, I think I got to make it a bit more positive for Kyle, maybe perhaps. So maybe is JT Miller underappreciated? The Canucks, I want to talk about Hughes being the potential captain. A lot of smoke around that right now. Also want to look at some of the best Canuck lines from the last season. What combinations worked best? Also want to touch on Jack Rathbone as well. Some might be August, but I got ideas coming out the wazoo. But you're not going to hear them until the next episode here of Locked On Canucks. So for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bound. And we appreciate you for tuning in to this episode of Locked On Canucks.